right? My personal favorite, Scarface gun. Now, I want to ask you a question. Do you like tactical military shooters but lack the attention span to play squad?
I want a woman to do a dump on my face.
Or armor, and don't want a literal milsim game and instead adopts a faster paced gameplay in something that I'd say similar to RS2. And you know, the best part is, do you like to commit war crimes? Because if that's so, I want to introduce you to a game called Insurgency Sandstorm. Truth be told, I remember when the original Insurgency was released back when I was in high school, and all my friends were playing it and they were saying this was some hardcore military shooter, like, oh yeah, you need to remember how many bullets you fire and everything, and this was with the original Insurgency, and poor little Tantu here was too poor to afford a computer to play the game. So 6 years later, what do? I bought Sandstorm instead. And at first, I immediately regretted my decision because I thought my computer could handle the game, right? I was like, oh yeah, you know, I've got a $2,000 computer, but graphics card was a little bit faulty and I could barely play it until I spent nearly $1,000 on a 3060, and yet again, it was still a little bit dicey, in which I had to go into the launch options for the game on Steam and to type in -DX12 or something along those lines so that it would run with you know what I mean, DX12, and the performance is much better. But moral of the story is that you're gonna need a pretty goddamn good computer to play this game. But what is Insurgency Sandstorm? That's a fucking tongue twister, mate, I'll tell you what. Basically, it's a tactical first-person shooter that's set in the Middle East, and you can play as either the security faction, which is a North American PMC, but honestly, the first thing I thought of was the IDF, but you also have the insurgents faction, or terrorists, whatever you want to call them. That's basically what they are, but each faction have their own weapons, customization options, as well as their own commander abilities that include an A-10 strike, chopper attack, chemical attack, and also do remember to bring a gas mask because otherwise you're going to be choking on some spicy gas. You know, there are different game modes that include PvE, which admittingly until writing this script, I thought PvE meant player versus everyone, not player versus environment, but that's basically where one team is with real players and you got to coordinate tactically depending on which region you play in. If you play in the Australian region, you'll have no trouble finding a server. People do tend to communicate. If you play in the Asia region, language barrier is an issue. You're not going to probably get too much communication. I did play in the American region, and that was a cluster.
Yeah, go ahead, shoot, kill me.
Okay, I'll just
sorry, I have to
Right in
do
the
this.
face. Right in the fucking face. Do it. Harder.
chromosomes.
I have
Yeah, that's right.
I have the
Bro,
mostest.
Why does this homie look so sexy? Look at you.
I want your fucking helmet.
You little big money spender.
But the other team is obviously a team full of bots who have literal aimbots and are super soldiers that will kill you in the most bullshit ways possible. And like in true Rising Storm 2 Vietnam fashion, when you need an observer to call in fire support, they run away.
Who has the fucking radio?
But the co-op game modes does attract a fair chunk of people. That's all I was playing until I discovered what PvP was. But nonetheless, if you play in the Australia region, you'll have no trouble finding PvE servers. And this obviously, if Australian servers are populated, you can guarantee that Beyond is also populated, in case anyone outside of Australia was wondering. But admittingly, I prefer PvP game mode because it's a lot more satisfying getting killed by a terrorist and hearing them blast the Arabic music over proximity chat. But one thing that I absolutely love about Insurgency Sandstorm is that I wasn't confused when playing this game. When playing Hell Let Loose, it took me way too long to realize what I was supposed to be doing, so just capturing these zones. In Squad, forget it, I'm clueless. I'm just an idiot. Like, that's it. Like, it's probably something simple. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do, like, half the time. I'm so sorry. I just follow someone around and then my team kill a person or two. But in Insurgency Sandstorm, it seemed simple. Objective, capture objective, rinse and repeat. That's it. It's simple. Now, in terms of speed of gameplay, when you compare it to COD and Battlefield, it's much slower compared to those games, because obviously you don't want to be running around like a madman quick scoping people, but compared to other games that you might play such as Arma, Squad, Hell Let Loose, it's a lot more faster paced in certain regards. I'd say it's similar to RS2, or maybe I've just been playing the game wrong, but that's how I've been playing it and that's how I've been seeing other people play it, and it's been fun. But there are also hardcore game modes that make the game harder, but honestly having the friendly indicators didn't really make much of a difference, to be honest. I did get a couple of cheeky team kills on accident, but it happens really. But a really good thing about this game is how it handles team kills. In Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, you know, you might, I remember this one time, I'm going off a bit of a tangent here, I do apologize, but I threw a Molotov into a doorway, okay? It was a bad molly. Literally 5 minutes later, a teammate runs into it. He doesn't forgive the team kill, and I'm like, hey, it was an accident. And then he's like, well, you shouldn't have thrown a Molotov there. I'm like, it was an accident. Why would you run into fire? Are you stupid, or are you dumb, or are you both, okay? I'm still salty about that. I'll bring that up till the day I die. I'm so mad about that. But in this game, let's say I threw a Molotov, a teammate runs into it. If continuously if I inflict team damage on someone, then eventually it will be mirrored back onto me. So I shoot someone in the head, I'll die instead. They won't receive any damage, which in my opinion is a very nice way of handling team kills. But if we had this game mechanic in Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, a lot of commanders would suddenly combust. But you know, a really good thing about this game, and how I was mentioning that I was confused in other games, is that there is a very simple and easy tutorial. Like, you have a free fire range where you can test out all the guns, all the game mechanics and everything. But the tutorial is good because it's not boring. It's like, okay, you spawn in, grab a gun, start running immediately. So that's what I liked about it. And it also goes over every game mechanic, what you're supposed to be doing. It's very well done, and I do appreciate it, especially if you have these little boxes that pop up on screen demonstrating the game mechanic, as well as you can press a button that means you can expand and elaborate on it, which is great. This tutorial is so helpful. But one thing that I love about this game is the customization options you have in terms of weapons. Not necessarily character customization, because you need to spend V-Bucks to get all the fancy shit like roll up your sleeves. But to be absolutely honest, I don't really care about cosmetics. The weapon customization is really nice because you can make any gun unique to the way that you want it to, right? My personal favorite, Scarface gun. You know, you can add different scopes, muzzle attachments, grips that have different effects, magazines, extended magazines, drum mags, but it all costs a thing called supply points. By default, I believe you get 10, but I found some servers have an unlimited amount, so you can make the wackiest guns with no penalty. But if you want to get like an M4, attach 50 different things to it, you need to sacrifice a secondary, explosives, other forms of equipment that are unique to your class. However, there are certain guns that I refuse to add anything to, primarily older guns. Like, I can't junk up an M1 Garand or a Mosin or an SKS or the modern day technology. I just can't do that. It's an insult to the gun. I just can't attach anything to it. It makes it look ugly. But speaking of guns, you have a large variety that range from assault rifles to snipers and LMGs, and they all look good. Admittingly, I don't bother with half of the assault rifles, except I'm going to be brutally honest, I am prejudiced towards weapons that have the magazine at the back of the gun. It just looks so goofy, and I just can't. You won't catch me using it. Also, this gun here, I don't know what it is. It looks like it's out of fucking Crysis or Halo. It's such an odd looking gun that's from the future. Really, you can't go wrong with an M4A4. But in my opinion, my favorite thing about this game is the animations that have been put into the guns is just phenomenal. These are some of the sexiest animations. They are crisp and clean. They are just so beautiful to look at. Even when you fire without ADS with the secondaries, it's just so satisfying to look at. The firing and the reloading animations are just amazing. You also have different reload animations, like you have a normal reload that's slower, but you retain the magazine. But there's a turbo reload where you quickly change the magazine, but it gets thrown on the ground and you can't put it back into the gun for future use. But this game has some really nice pieces of attention to detail, such as staged reloading. If your gun is too long, you'll have a harder time hiding behind walls and objects, as well as muzzle modifications are taken into account. That's why weapons such as SMGs and pistols have an advantage in certain situations. There is a suppression system that's based on distance and caliber size. Even shrapnel, you know what that is, shrapnel from an explosion can be deadly. Bro, explosions even have unique sounds based on whether they are indoors or outdoors.
Okay, grenade out!
The voice lines are also really well done. If you're getting shot at, there's genuine emotion in the voices, and the death sounds are also really intense. Like, you shoot someone, they're bleeding out and they're moaning. Heck, I even saw a guy being burned to death and screaming, and I ran up to him and just put a bullet in his head. I felt bad for a literal piece of code. You also have a variety of maps that include night ops, but you know, the modding support is pretty strong. You have lots of custom maps, training maps, weapon mods, and gameplay overhaul mods that look really good. But I mean, with the base maps, a lot of them are just set in the desert. I mean, how hard it is to make a desert look good? But nonetheless, it looks good, but there isn't too much of variety in terms of maps. It's just desert. That's really it. And you might get snow in the desert, which I call bullshit. That's fake. Doesn't snow in the desert. Literally immersion breaking. But there are some fair criticisms that can be made about the game, such as there are some performance issues. This video isn't supposed to be about consoles, but I heard consoles on the older gen are cluster. Even on older, shittier PCs, you're gonna have a bad time playing this game. I'm just giving you a warning. Also, there are some glitches that... I saw this one glitch where there was like a thing floating above your head, and I genuinely thought this was some like giant tactical balloon that gives you an advantage or something, but no, it turns out it was a glitch. Also, we had some guy get stuck in a tree, and I had to put him out of his misery. I failed, even at the simplest of tasks of killing people. But look, nonetheless, I am having so much fun playing this game. Now, if you want to get it, if you could get it on sale, by all means get it. But if you are looking for a fast-paced tactical shooter, like obviously with tactical elements, then you're going to like Insurgency Sandstorm. But if you're looking for something a lot more bigger, like a squad Project Reality, then this isn't... I wouldn't really say this is the game for you. But you know, in the end of the day, buy the game, play it for like an hour. If you don't like it, you just always refund it. If you enjoyed this review, I have a playlist on screen that has a bunch of other game reviews that you might be interested in. But anyways, I'm gonna end today's video there. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Anyways, my name's Tantu, and I will catch you guys in the next video.